What's going on, brother?
Hey, what's up, man? How are you?
Doing well, man. Posting everything here real quick here and letting people in. I'm gonna have also Ian jump in. You're gonna meet him right now. He's actually in here, and I'm gonna let more people in. We actually invited our clients as well to this call. Ian, what's up, man? How are you, bro?
How you doing? I'm good. How are you, Esma?
Uh,
Good, man.
Jesse, this is Ian. Ian, this is Jesse. So, just quick story short, Jesse is part of Hustle Media. He's our internal conversion coach for our clients. He's also a client of ours, and he helps them. Okay, and we would just wanted to make
Cool.
something fun for the mastermind. So, and Jesse, Ian is Steve Trank's partner on the initiative that they have for sales disruptors. So we're gonna make this fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right.
Congratulations on what you guys are doing as well.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Um, all right. Let me um, let me just do a quick live in here so that people can get to know. All right. Let me let a few people in. Okay, we're inside of the first objections challenge um, for REIPRENEURS free mastermind, and we're gonna have some fun in here, guys. Let me just mic myself up right in here so that everything is well connected and fancy. Anyways, so we are taking the new school challenge, the new school games that Alex Hermosi told us to do. Actually, I sometimes speak with him and he's like, dude, like go for it and start doing something. So join in the school community while you guys can, and we're gonna start the challenge right now. All right, guys. So we have here just I want to introduce everyone to everyone in here. All right. So all of you guys are part of this new mastermind that we have created for free, and it may not be free in the future. It may become at some point paid. But the good thing is that you guys will be grandfathered to everything that we do here. So essentially, right now we are thinking about everything doing for free. That I don't know when, I don't know how this is gonna play out, but one of the first things that I want to do is helping you guys close more deals, generate more leads, generate more appointments, and just become a better entrepreneur and a better closer, and ultimately learn marketing. And that's why we have Jesse, who is our internal coach inside of our agency, and he is a conversion coach. We also have Ian. So Ian, say hi to everybody. He is
How you doing?
he's part of Sales Disruptors, and Ian has an amazing program that all of you guys should definitely check out. I'm gonna leave the link of it later on today, but he is. If you guys have ever heard of Sales Disruptors, it's a derivative out of Real Estate Disruptors. And Real Estate Disruptors is a really good podcast where you learn a lot. Sales Disruptors is where you actually go and listen podcast to learn sales. And that's ultimately who we need to become for just to crush it in this industry, in the REI industry. It's such a tough industry to crush it on, it because you're dealing with people and you're dealing with like systems and more people. So Ian is in here, Jesse is in here. We're gonna play a game, and the game is gonna be called the Objection Challenges. And the way that it's gonna work, one time I saw it working instead of another group, is we're gonna create two champions at the beginning. The two champions are gonna compete with each other, and they're going to ultimately display their best sales skills. There may be another champion that may come in and be like, "Hey, I wanna do objection challenges," but the goal is that you guys are motivated seller. One is gonna be a motivated seller, and the other one it's going to be a closer. So, and we're trying to handle objections. We're trying to go over every objection possible that you can think of, and don't surrender. But also the motivated seller is going to go try very, very hard to just say no, get off the phone, or whatever, or not let the closer lowball them, or not let the closer just go and get an offer, right? Sometimes you guys may think that, oh, because it's a motivated seller, they're gonna give away their house. But you guys all have experienced that there's people that are just not gonna go for it. They're not gonna buy it. They're not gonna work with what you first say. They're not gonna tell you the truth, right? Whatever they say that their pain point is, it's just the surface level. There's a lot of things that we don't know um, about that seller and but the truth behind it. So the the first thing that we're gonna do is um, potentially understand what frameworks we would be using, and then we're gonna start like just battling with each other. So Ian, you are from Sales Disruptors, and Jesse, you're from Hustle Media. You're a client of ours as well. I'd love to know what frameworks do you guys usually use in order to go for objections, and I just want to know like how we would display that in the battlefield.
Go ahead, Ian.
Let you go first. I'll let you go first, Jesse.
By all means. All right. I'm not really sure I understand the question necessarily, Esteban.
Yep.
Normally I try and base as soon as I make contact with a seller on the phone. I proceed with my sales process of using the script, and I try and isolate all of the objections and draw those out through that conversation. But again, I'm not, can you maybe clarify what you mean?
Yeah, just the usual process that after someone gives you just some sort of objection or some sort of challenge, like how you would go about it, right?
Oh, sure, totally. So whenever an objection comes my way, I always use a technique that I learned from a long time ago called El Rio, which is listen, restate, isolate, and overcome. So during that, first I'm going to listen to the objection, even if it becomes an uncomfortable moment of silence. After that, I usually restate and reframe the objection back to the person. And then we discuss it and I isolate it and try and get them to agree with me that that would be the only thing that would stop them from moving forward, is just that one thing. And then I overcome it and I ask for the order again. I ask for the purchase agreement.
All right. Awesome. I think I never heard of that, but Rio, you called it Rio?
Yeah, I just abbreviate it. I come up with synonyms so my own brain can remember them. It's just listen, restate, isolate, and overcome. LRIO.
Nice.
But I'm sure Ian has a much more sophisticated and thought out and educated answer.
Let's talk with Ian. Ian, so what's your process? What's your framework?
I was about to say, I wish I had an acronym for overcoming objections, because I'm far less sophisticated than you are, Jesse, based on this setup. So there's a couple ways to think about this. I mean, the big thing for how we think about running a sales conversation at Disruptors is if you go through it correctly, the usual, like, now I'm making my offer and then I deal with objections and then I overcome it and now I present the offer again, shouldn't happen the same way most people are presented. Our process is a little bit more that the natural conclusion of the conversation is if either I was right and disqualified you, or you convinced me that it makes sense for us to work together. It's a little bit different from how we do things for most stuff. So I got to tell you, like, hearing that the person's going to be hard pressed to give me a no, it's like, if you're going to give me a no, I'll just take the no, and I'll insert doubt and ask questions about that. We can talk that through. Definitely a bunch of different scenarios, but I don't have an acronym for the objection overcoming process. An example I can give you in terms of getting ahead of it now, I was coaching a guy today. It was my first time coaching his team, and they're having like a lead transfer process. And they were encountering this really common thing with how their script was set up, which was the prospect, the homeowner, was then saying, I just answered all these questions with your lead manager, right? Because with the transfer process, that acquisitions manager there wasn't perfect handover of information. They also want to make sure they get some clarity on some things that the lead manager likely already talked about. And so one of the things we do is to try and prevent that objection from ever happening. So rather than going, let me ask you this question, and the person says, I already answered this, we inserted ahead of time, hey, like you've already answered a bunch of questions to my partner. We often find it best to make sure that we hear the information directly from the homeowner. I already have a bunch of notes here from the person who's handing you to me, but I always find it better to hear that information from the homeowner directly, because then that will make sure that nothing gets lost in translation. And so I'll have the most accurate information. So when I present the number, it's actually based on your information rather than, me trying to siphon it out from someone giving me that information. Are you opposed to me asking questions, even if they seem redundant, just to make sure I can be confident in my numbers? So we just deal with that ahead of time so that never becomes an objection. So that's very much our approach to things, that there's not that many objections you actually get in buying someone's home. Like obviously there's variations of it, but most of what we do is by the end of it, we should have eliminated that as a priority, or if they've been opposed to it, I wouldn't have even given them my offer. So I'll do my very best to participate in the way you do stuff, but how I've been operating things and coaching people lately is not quite as like tennis back and forth with objection handling as a setup, but I'm certainly game for having fun.
Yeah, well, you said something very important, because ultimately the best way of handling an objection is pre-handling the objection, right? That's ultimately the best way, like removing
Yeah, you
the.
mentioned Hormozy. He did a really cool thing talking about the differentiation between an obstacle and objection. An obstacle meaning someone saying something at maybe in discovery or at the start of your conversation involving like, yeah, I just got to make sure I talk to my sister before I do anything, even before you've even done anything else. In which case, that's not an objection yet. We haven't asked for the sale. We haven't presented our offer. It's an obstacle that could become in the way if it wasn't dealt with during the process and I waited until the end and ignored it. And so having an eye out for what are those obstacles that you're encountering, and then how can I make sure that will not actually be an objection when I go for the sale, is a far more efficient way to run a process rather than like, I just do this part of the script and now all right, objection handling time to put on the boxing gloves.
Well, the truth is that we do sometimes actually, um, sometimes we do have to handle those objections because we didn't remove it, or we didn't do a good job at the value. We didn't do a good job at uncovering anything that was a concern from them, and therefore we have to handle objections. And I like to follow certain people, and I think you're gonna interview someone real soon, Jeremy Miner, or did you already interview him? I think.
No, he's coming on my podcast in a couple weeks.
Well, are they
Yeah, that's huge. So, okay, can you guys hear me properly, or is it like too muffled? Is it a little bit muffled?
little, yeah, there's a little lag.
Okay.
If everybody could make sure they're on mute, that would probably help. It seems like you're getting feedback.
Yeah, probably. All right. All right.
It's already better.
It's better now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't use my fancy microphone, but that's okay. All right. So, Ian is going to interview Jeremy Miner in a couple days, weeks.
I just got pushed back 2 weeks today. So it was originally going to be Friday, but it's going to be the first.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't subscribed to that actual podcast, that it's only going to be for sales, you guys better subscribe to Sales Disruptors real soon.
Close More Sales is the podcast. Yeah.
Yes. Close More Sales is the podcast. So it's only about sales, talks about sales. He probably is going to ask a couple of crucial questions to their guests. And guess what? Only us know this. Don't say it to anyone. Only us know about this. And since you guys are first early birds on REIPRENEURS Mastermind, you guys get to be grandfather and a lot of stuff. All right, so let's get started, guys. We have now enough audience. That means that we have now 2 gladiators, and maybe I have myself right here. It could be the 3rd gladiator, and we're gonna just do like a role play. Like it's gonna be like a conversation, and we can do it from different ways. We're gonna start where we have potentially dropped the offer. We could do that variation and handle all those objections. Or the other one is where we haven't dropped the offer, but we're just trying to remove anything, pre-handle any objections before dropping any type of offer, right? But I think the fun one is when we're dropping an offer and we're dropping a number and then we're not able to close, we're not able to like go for it, right? So let's actually go for, let's say you're just dropping an offer for wholesaling, and I'm gonna have Jesse, let's be the first person to be the closer. Ian, do you want to be the seller or do you want me to be the seller? Are you a good seller? You could be like a very angry or not angry seller, but like tough seller to deal with. Or you could be whoever type of seller. Like you can choose your personality. All right.
It's up to you. I'm open for whatever.
Give him a hard time. Give him a hard time. I want Jesse at his very best.
Okay.
All right.
I had no idea I was going to have to be a gladiator tonight. I would have
It's
not
news to me
spent
too, Jesse.
Yeah, I wouldn't have spent the day shoveling snow all day if I knew I had to gladiator it. But
Luckily, I've been sacrificing goats all day, so I'm ready to go.
fair enough. So, are we already into this conversation? Like, are we starting off at a specific point, or am I just calling him out of the blue? I mean,
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
the backstory here?
You can just start with like, hey, you're ready. You're ready to drop the offer, and they're just not buying it. Let's say it's
Forget having rapport.
yeah. Forget about
forget
that.
forget any buildup with this guy.
Let's forget about that. Let's see how you handle those objections. You can always like uncover back, ask those questions once again if you need to. But let's just see how you would handle it in a real
Sure.
life scenario.
Sure. So let's just jump right into it. So Ian,
Sure.
hey, Ian, thanks so much for getting back on the phone with me. I really appreciate it. And I don't want to take up too much of your time, so I'm going to go super quick. Now, again, like I talked about before, while I'm talking, I know sometimes I get a little wrapped up and start talking really quick. So if I would say anything that you wouldn't understand, need me to slow down, back up, or go over it at any time, please just let me know. I have no problem doing that. Ian, we were able to run the numbers, and I super appreciate you taking the time to go over all the details of the property. I know with not just myself, but the lead manager that you spoke to before. After our team was able to run the numbers on the property, I had told them how you were really, really, really shooting to try and be somewhere around that 250, 275 number. Unfortunately, though, like I said, we do buy a lot of properties in the area. And after our folks in our underwriting department looked at it, they came back with a valuation a little bit lower, but there's really good news to it. I was able to re-talk to them a little bit and get them up a little bit more than where they were at originally. And their offer came back at 186,400. And the great thing about that is we're still going to be able to close within the 30 days. On top of that, they did say that they would make sure they take care of all the closing costs for you. Now, I know it's not exactly where we wanted to be. The great thing, though, is it would still get you down to Florida with your daughter, like you had said you wanted to be in the first place. And it would be a no stress, no mess type selling situation. It would be super quick, easy as a cash deal. And you'd move on to the brighter future that you had told me you were looking for. So at that number, I mean, is there anything that would possibly stop you from moving forward with it?
It's almost $90,000 less than what I was hoping for. I feel like I should get another opinion then, because I was really hoping to be closer to that. I mean, you said 250. I was thinking 275.
Sure. And that makes total sense to me. I mean, unfortunately, it was a number a little lower than where I was hoping for it to be in. But do you mind if I just ask you a couple more questions about the property? Because I think that maybe our underwriters had some doubts with some of the things. So I just wanted to go over a couple more facts about it, if that would be okay with you.
Okay.
Okay. So I know when we talked about the mortgage before, you had said that you didn't really want to disclose all of the details on the mortgage to me, just that you were keeping some of that private. But when we don't have all of the factual information, sometimes it's hard for us to present either a great offer or even a multitude of offers. I'm just curious, do you still have a mortgage balance on the property?
We do still have a mortgage balance on it. Yeah.
Okay. And was your plan from selling this property, was it just going to kind of satisfy the debt on the property, or are you going to plan on using some of the proceeds to move on to other things?
I was planning on using it to move to Florida and have a little bit extra on top of that, like you mentioned.
Okay, totally understandable. And Ian, I mean, I guess my other questions for you are some of the things that maybe we didn't delve into a little bit in detail, and I wish I would have. The first one would be is if there was a way that we could possibly offer a little bit more money for the property, doing something that we call an equity protection program, where we offer a lot more money for, or not a lot more, I'm sorry. We offer a little more money for the property, and we offer it as kind of a concierge service. It still comes with all the great features and benefits of doing it like a cash sale. We just have a few different exit strategies with it. Would you be interested in discussing that?
Okay.
Okay, super. And Ian, the other question I have for you is on a scale of 1 to 10, like 1 being not at all, 10 being you're like stoked and your like bags are packed and you're out the door. Where would you say you think you are as far as really wanting to sell the property?
I mean, if it, the, we definitely want to sell it. We're definitely closer on the eight or maybe even probably 9, but I'm a little bit skeptical because if they're coming back at like the 186, 400 or something, and I was thinking 275 with what I still owe and what I'm going to need to move to Florida and hopefully have a little extra. Now I'm thinking maybe it wasn't worth it like I was thinking.
Sure. Yeah, that's totally understandable. I think the reason for the price being where it is for a few things. One, with the economy where it's at and the interest rates being high, it's definitely cost us more money on each deal as far as being able to buy the property. Like I told you, we're an investment firm, so we buy properties and turn them into long-term residential rental properties. And in order for us to do that, it has to meet certain criteria. And part of that criteria is we have to be at a certain percentage that the bank wants to see us owning equity in, which makes it a little bit of a sticky situation, especially in the situation where we're at with high interest rates. I know that you said when you wanted to talk about moving to Florida when we were on the phone before, did you guys already look for a place or do you have a place picked out?
We've just been looking online. We don't have a place picked out yet.
Okay. And your plan is to buy down there?
I mean, that was the plan, but like with how little it sounds like, I mean, even if you're coming up, like you said, a little bit, not a lot, it might be renting,
Totally
which is not what we
understand.
were planning on.
Yeah. I'm like I said, I'm not trying to ask for any like definitive answers or anything like that, Ian, right now. I'm just trying to fact find a little bit more. I'm not used to jumping into the phone call at this point. But Ian,
Fair enough.
honestly, it's like all throwing me off. It's all throwing me off. But Ian, let me ask you a question. I know where the number that I came in at, you said just could not work. I totally understand that. But if you were to
What are you
be
doing?
100% honest with me, what's the absolute least amount of money that you would need to be able to walk away from the house, get down to Florida, be closer to the family and everything like that? Because honestly, I would love to do a deal on this property in. It does fit the criteria of what we're looking to buy. So it checks all those boxes. It's just we have to compare it to other things that are available in the market. But when I was trying to go back and really argue for why this property would be such a great deal for us, they were like, give me something that stands out. If you talk to Ian, let Ian explain to me, why should we try and pay a little more? Like, what can you do for me, Ian, in this situation to help me convince my manager that we should be able to justify a little bit higher offer? And what's the lowest that you would be able to take for the property?
Which one did you want me to answer? What I can do for you, or like why you should pay more, or what's the lowest I could take?
Well, let's start off with either one, either or. It's up to you. But if we were to start off with one, I would rather start off with what's the least you could take.
Like I said, we were hoping for 275. You're the one who said like 250, 275. We were like maybe amenable to that range. So I guess lowest, we're probably 230. I don't know. I feel like I maybe 230, but I would have to check with I would want to get a second opinion before I officially signed on that. because that just feels so much lower than what I was expecting. We could do it if other people came back and they also were much lower, then maybe we'd accept 230, but to have anything left over and what we're hoping to do, that just seems so much lower than what we were thinking.
Yeah. I understand that. And the reason I understand is because, a lot of times, Ian, folks get into a situation where they're so excited to sell the property. I know if it was like my mother, the first thing she would do is jump right onto Zillow, type in her address and be like, what's it worth? And when she sees that little number come up and it has like a big number, she's not understanding that that's considering like the property's in tip top A+ condition. They're not factoring in the fact that she has a 20-year-old roof, an older furnace. The countertops are stone, but they were done in like the mid 2000s, things like that. And that definitely swings the scales towards the lower end of the spectrum sometimes. Now
makes
with
sense.
this property, when we were going through the recent updates, I know that you said that the kitchen had been updated about 12 years ago. Unfortunately, that's not really modern standards. You know what I mean? It's not like people are turning on HGTV and saying, show me 2008 all over again. I can't wait to see that. They're looking for fresh and modern. And I think that's sometimes why our discounts come in, but also because of the fact that we're avoiding realtor fees, we're avoiding all your transfer fees, closing costs, all the title insurance and everything. We're taking care of everything for you, Ian. So not only are we doing that, we're also saving you a huge headache of putting it on the market, having 25 different couples traipse through it on a random Wednesday afternoon, making sure it's locked up, things like that, and then hoping that an offer comes in. Sometimes in this market, like we talked about earlier, properties you'll sit for 60, 90, 120 days without any offers. And at that point, you guys are really ready to move. So I do think that our convenience should come at a little bit of a discount. And I appreciate that 230 number. But let me ask you this, what could I talk to my manager about and explain why this house with like the little bit of a dated kitchen and floors deserves that higher number? What could you do for me to like help me give that extra push? Because I'm on your side on this one. It's me and you against them. Trust me. If you can sell me the house, I work tomorrow. If you don't sell me the house, I work tomorrow. It doesn't make a difference to me either way. It does, but I'm on your side on this one. I will fight tooth and nail to try and get that number as high as I can for you. I just need you to work with me. So what can you do for me as far as helping me try and push this thing to them? Give me all the great highlights.
I mean, I know homes in our area are going into threes that are also 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Like when we saw Zoc, we're familiar with Zillow being inflated. That's why we were asking 275 because we'd seen 350, 375 for the same thing that we'd sort of factored that in. And then, so if with tip top shape, I mean, I would imagine that fixing it up and getting it going, you could have something in that range. I don't see why not. Everything still works. Roof's a little bit older, but there's no damage. It's a great neighborhood, great schools. We love the area. It just sort of seems like we kind of want to get to Florida, and so I don't know that we just really weren't expecting it to be that much lower. So I don't know what else to tell you.
I totally understand what you're saying, Ian. What I would like to do, if it's okay with you, I'm just going to call a timeout on this because I don't know what part of this conversation we would actually be in if this was a real situation.
It's a
really
little
tough.
artificial. Yeah, it's a little artificial. That's all right. We're working with a fake situation.
So all I was going to say is from my end, if I got caught in this situation, I would probably say, hey, listen, Ian, I totally understand what you're saying. And I would make sure that I left the door super wide open for me to call back. I would put it as a, Ian, listen, let me go. I would put it as a, Ian, listen, I understand that we were super off base. Please don't hold it against me. Let me go back to my managers. I'm going to talk to them again. And I'm going to explain to them that not only are you a little flexible as far as you were more than generous with telling me that number of 230. I understand that's nothing in stone, but I also want to see if we can try and put together maybe another option. Maybe a creative option or something for you to at least maybe either have the choice, one or the other, whichever could work best, or to see if we could get a number that's just where you're like, you know what, that works for me. Let's get this thing done. So Ian, what I'd love to do is set up a time. I can give you a call back. Today is Tuesday. I'd call you tomorrow at 6:30. That way we're around the same time. Did you save my number in your phone last time?
I didn't save
You
it.
didn't? Can you do it for me right now? I just want to make sure you have it, so when I call you tomorrow, we can definitely get a hold of each other. And then I would go through
Sure.
that. And then my biggest thing, guys, is if it was a real life situation, I would try and bring him down out of the clouds. Ask him something. Did you watch the Super Bowl the other night? What'd you think of the halftime show? You know, something like that. To leave it on a light and airy note where he doesn't feel like I'm just a badger and a hindrance to him. Because the important part, and I'd love to hear Ian's feedback on it, but the important part that you're missing on trying to jump into something like this is the build up to that point of the conversation, which is where you're going to pull out all the objections. You're going to have already discussed pricing. You know, I'm going to throw out a range of this is where we typically are, because if I am at a range where, let's say, I could wholesale it somewhere around 205 to 215, and he tells me he would not budge under 275, I'm not sure that that necessarily fits my criteria to spend a ton of time with him on the phone going back and forth. I would again probably leave it as a very pleasant call. That might be a little more than what we look to do, but I'll tell you what, I wish you the best of luck. I'll check back in a week or two and I'll talk to my manager in between. And then I again, it's follow up, polite follow up.
This is how you know Jesse actually does this and does a lot of calls, because there's no, like, that's such a mismatch in price. There's no way, like, you're not going to get someone after maybe one or two tries to come down any more than that. So the fact that he has the inclination to then set a call is like, that's awesome. That's absolutely what you would do. If you're forced into this awkward process of this, like, doing things without any rapport or knowing the motivation or the reason for it, the best you can do. We have a thing about like scorching the earth. So I do a bunch of things to make sure no other investor is buying it in the next week besides us, right? Like, so like, you want to have other conversations, that's totally fine. And we would there's certain things we do to say, like, make sure they can do X, Y, and Z that we know they're not going to be able to do, which theoretically we probably could because we've already done the research. There's things like that we would do. But for the most part, with that big of a price difference, you can't like talk someone into accepting that much less for the home if they're not amenable to it. I guess I don't know if critique is the right word. Maybe my feedback of how I would maybe do things that's a little bit different. Obviously, aside from the fact that I know this is not your exact process, Jesse, far from it. But the biggest thing based on what I saw that is a little bit different from how I think we do things and how your approach worked is that we try and talk a lot less. My whole thing, if we're talking more than 50% of the time, we usually figure out we're talking too much. So we're doing our best to get the prospect talking. Obviously, I wasn't given very much. It was a convoluted situation inserted at the end. I'm not saying that's what Jesse's call sounds like, but in a vacuum, that's my own sort of like critique on that. I love hearing like the equity protection for the novations, like hearing that Jesse's been through his training, which is awesome.
Yeah, Ian was a hard at the moment that when he said, "Oh, that's $90,000 less." With the tone that you said it, you were just not willing to talk or be in a position. Like right away, the wall, the defense mechanism was just up, and at that time, I guess Jesse's approach was good, but the way that I would have asked question, I would approach that is just ask questions, be like. I would literally just ask this question. What do you mean by that? You know what I mean? I would just literally ask that question so that they actually tell me more. Like where they're coming from with that number. What are they really talking about? $90,000 in difference. That's the way I would have done it. I'm not sure. Like Ian, whenever you actually postured at that, oh, I'm straight in my price. It's $90,000 difference. Like what would you have done there differently? At that specific moment?
Well, first off, we don't give our price until we know what their price is. I mean, obviously we had a 250 to 275 range, but if I would, let's say did have that disconnect, I would basically be like, I would love to be able to buy this property. The numbers we came back, it's so much lower, you wouldn't even want to hear the offer. And because I don't want to offend you, honestly. and I make them ask for the offer even after I take it away. But I said, like, I would love to give it to you, but like, I'm worried this will offend you, Jesse, if I give you this offer because of a few factors that we're considering based on how interest rates are changing, some of the older roofs. And I wish we could have been higher, but we'd love to be able to buy this property. I'm even afraid to say the number because I'm afraid if I say it, you're going to think I'm trying to buy this property cheap. I'm not respecting you. And it's the last thing I want to do. And I sit in that silence until they go, well, no, you can give it to me. And that helps lessen the blow. That's a thing we do when it's basically an accusation on it. You see from Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. We want to call out that negativity so that they're expecting it to be even worse. But I would also want to talk about, we also just don't make offers that exact same way either. So our whole thing is like, basically we divide up what they would need the costs for even before talking about the offer. So for instance, I know you don't, you mentioned not wanting to tell me what was left on the mortgage. I don't want to be not respectful to what you want to have privacy for. I just need to make sure I can understand exactly what we're buying it for and what you need that money for. So you mentioned moving to Florida. Have you looked at moving companies to figure out what that would cost? And I figure out what that costs. And I was like, okay. And you mentioned, ideally you'd like to buy, but also you're amenable if you have to renting, just in terms of thinking about what you would want to have, like at a bare minimum on after the move to at least set yourself up there, you at least have rent covered for 6 months or something like that, and your deposit, just at least that. What would that you feel comfortable with for that? And I'm keeping track of these notes, and at the end of it, I was like, gotcha. And I forget you probably said that there was like 60,000 left on the mortgage. I would say something intentionally wrong as a statement because they feel the need to correct it. People won't let that incorrect statement lie. They will feel the need to correct you. And so they'll be like, no, it's not 60,000. We owe 185,000. They can't let the incorrect statement lie. And so I would probably have made a statement like that after a couple of things in a row when we were all talking about numbers. I would have made it right at the get-go, or it seems too obvious. I would do it while recapping costs, and then they feel more inclined to correct. And so from there, I was like, okay, so it sounds like you need to add up, okay, about 210. Well, if we can do X and we can do Y and we can do Z, do you feel like that would be helpful? And then and they're like, yeah, it'd be really helpful. So it's like, okay, so if we can cover the mortgage, we can get you moved. And I mean, let's say, even if the amount that you would have after it is a little bit less, but at least it's like half of that, do you feel like it would be helpful to get you to Florida and actually make sure you could be closer to your grandkids and not have to deal with this property anymore? Yeah, it'd be helpful. Okay, well, I have kind of an uncomfortable question. Do you want my help? And that's usually our closing thing. And we go over price a little bit more when the contract is up and go over the contract right there. So it's imperfect. It wouldn't even work. I wouldn't have been able to run that process that same way either because we don't make offers that way. But that's much more along the lines of how we do stuff.
Yeah. All right. So who thought that the way that Jesse handled it, even though there was no report, no preparation before, like, was just like awesome just to see how he was able to really ask, say, relate to that person and then ask proper questions to the seller.
For what it's worth, I felt like I was talking way too much also. I just felt
we
like
can try again, nowhere, man.
I feel like I was thrown into a shitstorm of no information. So it was like I'm just trying to wing it.
Because it's different. Like maybe we can get a muscle that we didn't have.
The other thing the one thing I would like to say though, Ian, what you said though with the close with "Would you like my help?" That was fantastic. I love that. The only thing I would say though, that like Ian spoke about, that's why the actual body of the call is so important though, because that's when I am going to I know how to build enough rapport with a person to where they're going to feel really comfortable disclosing it. I think in my entire career, I've had 4 or 5 times where somebody really wouldn't discuss any financials with me. Like nothing at all. They'll usually at least give me like the 50-foot view of what's going on with the mortgage, because what Ian was saying about kind of calculating that up, that's why it's so important. Because if I would know, for example, that they owe 190 on the mortgage, they need money to move down there, I'm not going to come at them with an offer where they're upside down 25 grand right from the get-go. That's just not a deal, probably, especially if they're already financially in a hardship. So that's why it's so important to do good fact finding throughout the call. so that you don't deal with that type of situation.
All right, guys. Everyone that is in here, I like you guys to drop one objection that you guys get pretty often, and you guys don't really know how to go about it. You guys try it, but haven't been able to really go through it. Drop it in the chat. Just drop the objection in the chat. Because I really would love to like have Ian just take care of it, Jesse take care of it. Drop an objection that you guys get from sellers. It could be something like, yeah, man, but like I actually see that it is way more from what I can sell if I were to do this with a realtor that was able to, to help my other two friends. Or it could be like, yeah, like I don't know, this is way too low and I don't really know if I can accept this. How do I know that I'm not gonna get screwed or whatever? Like just drop whatever objections that you guys can think of, and we'd love to like have Ian handle it. But I think it's Ian's turn to handle objections by Jesse real quick here. So Jesse, like now you're gonna play the devil right here,
The
and
devil's advocate.
The devil. These
you're,
homeowners are the devil, Esteban.
you're gonna play you're gonna play a seller that is just it's not gonna have it. You can start it whatever. You can be like, maybe you guys already have discussed the price, but then the seller's just not gonna have it. You're still gonna offer way less, right?
How about this? How about why don't we just have it to where he's calling me? I'm an internet lead. He got a lead from me. It was a Facebook lead. It says, my address was listed. It says that I'd like to sell the house in 60 to 90 days. He looks it up. The Zestimate says 300,000 and he's starting the call. He's reaching out to me for the first time. I'll be agreeable as far as trying to run through the information quickly until he tries to take my kneecaps out on price, and then I'll give some pushback maybe.
All right, let's go for it.
Hey, hello.
I get.
Hello.
Hi, Jesse.
Yes, it's me.
Hey, this is Ian.
Hey, Ian. What's going on? Wait,
Not too much.
is this Ian from work?
No, I'm sorry. I probably caught you at a bad time, Jesse.
Oh no, I just got done eating dinner.
Okay, great. So yeah, this is just Ian. You had put in some information regarding your property over on Main Street. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah. Oh yeah, on Facebook. Yep.
That's exactly right. Yeah. The reason I'm calling it's pretty simple, Jesse. My job, you put out this information here. I just had to ask a really basic question for you, which is just, are you still considering selling that property?
Yeah, I'm looking to sell it.
Okay. Well, I don't have much information here, so this might be a really quick call. I don't want to waste your time.
Okay.
Are you opposed to me just asking a few questions about it that I can see if maybe this would be a property we would be able to buy?
No, man, go ahead. I'm just rolling along
Okay.
like a hubcap in the fast lane. Shoot. What's
Okay.
the question?
Great. My question is, so I've got limited information about the property. I know I can look it up online. I usually find it better to ask the homeowner directly because I find if I'm relying on online information, square footage, room stuff like that, it's often, slightly off sometimes depending on where you get it. And I want to make sure I'm getting the most information that's accurate that I can directly from you, so that at least with my offer, I'm as accurate as I can be. So you're opposed to me asking questions, even if it seems like you could just say, hey, just look that up online.
No, go ahead.
Okay. And simply put, I'm also just curious, what has you considering selling the property here? I didn't see that here on the form.
Oh, well, I got injured a few years ago at work and I was waiting on my disability to come through. It finally came through and I want to move back down south where my family lives down in the Carolinas. So I'm looking to be able to get closer to my mom. She's getting older and my sister could use some help around her place. And so it's time to go.
Gotcha. Do you mind if I ask, how long have you been considering that move? How long has that been on your mind?
Well, I mean, I've been thinking about it for the last few years, but now that everything's finally settled out and whatnot, I think I'm ready to go.
What do you mean by settled out?
I was waiting on my disability claim to come through because I got hurt at work. So I was
Got it.
going back and forth trying to get disability, and they finally paid me on my back pay. So I'm caught up on all my bills finally, and it's just time to sell this place and get on down the road.
Gotcha. Do you mind if I ask? I'm curious here, how long has that been? Has it been like a couple weeks or a month or so? How long has this sort of been top of mind? 'Cause I just saw the form come in today.
Oh, I've been thinking about it for 3 years now. But now that everything's actually happened, that was about a month and a half ago. And, I was thinking about calling different realtors and stuff like that. But then I saw your ad on Facebook. So I figured I'd see what you guys had to say.
Got it. What was it, if you don't mind me asking, about the ad that stood out to you? What made you want to reach out instead of talking to a realtor?
Well, I mean, the house that it was on there, it said, something about we buy any house or we buy nice houses, and it looked kind of similar as mine. It had a nice 2-car garage, and, it wasn't one of those junky trash places you see where it's like falling down. It was, a nice home. I mean, I have a decent place.
Got it. And so, because usually when you've seen those ads on Facebook, it's probably showing rundown houses and things that look like they're in terrible shape. And because ours looked a little bit more like yours, you felt, hey, maybe they actually could make me an offer that makes sense for me.
Yeah, and when I clicked on your page, it said that you guys buy and you do cash and like different stuff, and you buy all over the place. So I thought maybe that'd be a good fit.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it. Do you mind if I ask if there's any reason that you can think of or that you're aware of where a cash offer would make more sense than going with a realtor anyway?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I don't
Okay,
know. I was, I don't like salespeople, and
sure.
I'm sure you know what I mean. Like, when those
Oh yeah,
salespeople want to push you all the time, and I know when I bought this house, the realtor then just was so annoying. He was just constantly like sending me emails every day and just up my ass all the time. And it was like, dude, get out of my life. And I don't want to
sure,
have to go through that again. That's
sure.
all.
So it sounds like if we could save you having to deal with those pesky realtors who are always, yeah, sending you market listings and, updates about their family around the holidays and stuff in your email list, and also
Yeah.
saves you the commission at the same time, that might be worth having a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Plus, I mean, the thing is I'd like to move down south. I already found a house down by my sister, and I don't have the funds to be able to just go buy it. But, I thought if you guys buy stuff, it might be able to just be quick where I don't have to worry about showings and putting a sign in my yard and, all that type of stuff.
Gotcha. So if you went with a realtor, you might actually, because of that process, might miss out on that house you found out down by your sister anyway.
That's right.
Okay. Um, well, I'm curious about that house. That's great that you found something already. How much is that house going for?
I'd have to look again. I want to say now homes are a little cheaper down there than
Sure.
up here in Pennsylvania. I want to say let's say it's 230, 250,000, something like that.
Okay, 230, 250. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we'll call it in the middle then for math's sake and call it 240. Does that sound
Oh,
fair?
yeah, fair enough.
Okay. So in terms of like a down payment there, you're probably looking comfortably around at least 50,000 for a down payment, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I want to put at least half down. I don't like carrying debt, so that's what I did that with this place, and just I'd rather just pay it as quick as I can and just get it done with.
You'd rather put half down. So you would want to put potentially
Yeah, I figure.
120,000 down.
Yeah, I have a good bit of equity in this place, so I figure, I'll probably use the money for that.
Great. What does a good bit of equity mean?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to look at a paper to give you an exact figure, but I mean, I've only got
In
three.
round numbers.
I've got 3 years left on a 15-year mortgage, and I put a good chunk down. I want to say I maybe owe, I don't know, 30,000.
Okay. Roughly 30,000 thereabouts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And
I
then
mean, going off what I've seen, other now I don't know what this place is worth. I mean, you're the expert, not me, but going off what I see other places selling for when signs are in yards and stuff, I figure this place should be probably around 300,000. If I went with the whole realtor shebang and all that stuff.
Right.
So
Right.
at least
But
probably 200 and some thousand in equity.
okay. But like you said, that's assuming you went with a realtor.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'd love to talk to you more. It sounds like this is that thing we can help you out with. Last thing I want to do is waste your time. If you're looking for that 300,000, you should definitely go with a realtor.
Okay.
Do you mind if I ask, have you mentioned the realtors being annoying in terms of
What
follow-up?
what
I'm going to
what
guess,
real what realtor do you think I should go with? Do you have any you recommend?
do you have any realtors that you love? I mean, you mentioned not like the
No.
salespeople. I'm curious.
No,
Well,
that's
if
why I'm
you
asking you. I mean, you're tolerable, but most of them aren't worth a damn. So I figured maybe
I
somebody that I could call.
my experience with realtors has been your exact same experience.
Yeah.
So the reason I say that is because you sort of, and it's entirely up to you. This is your property. It's your future. You can figure this out.
What'd
It's
you say your
usually worth
name
figuring
was?
out.
Dan.
My name, Ian. It's Ian. Close.
Ian.
My mother-in-law calls me Dan by accident sometimes, so that
Oh,
works.
your last name's Close, like Glenn Close?
Exactly right. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
Dan Close.
well, okay. Well,
No, I'm
Ian,
Ian Ross. Yeah.
oh, okay. I was gonna say, Ian, are we close to numbers with each other on this property? I mean,
At
how much
which
could you pay? How much could you pay me for it?
I'm not sure yet. I haven't even seen it a little bit more. I'm telling you, if you're seeing 300, assuming realtor and all the setup there, we would be pretty far off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
we'd
fair.
love to talk to you more, but I mean, it's usually sort of up to you because the last thing I want to do is waste your time. If you're thinking like, yeah, I definitely want that 300,000, then that's probably going to involve, interviewing a bunch of different realtors to see who's going to cut their commission, to see who's more amenable, who's maybe got a buyer's list already that they're confident with, who can promise you what. You obviously have to figure out if you believe their promises. That's entirely up to you. But that if you're set on that number, that's probably the process you're going to have to go. If you're open to a little bit less, really up to you. I'd love to talk
But
you through it, but I'm
but I thought you said you don't even know what the property is. So how do you know what it's worth yet?
oh, I just know if you're seeing 300,000 on Zillow, that we're probably significantly below it. That's all I know yet. I've got the address here. I'd have to learn a
Oh,
little bit
okay.
more about the condition. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, it's in really nice condition.
Okay.
Real
Great.
nice.
So then if I'm guessing is the only thing stopping you from a realtor because you just can't stomach them?
I just wanted to see if I could sell it fast without using one.
Okay. And that makes sense. It's most of the people who reach out to us want to have a reason for that. A lot of the times the people we've worked with in the past, they usually reached out to us and wanted to work with us. They told us for one of three issues, usually, sometimes multitude. Usually either they were just like, in a rush to get somewhere, and that speed, that convenience was worth it for them. Maybe they didn't have a realtor they like working with or just wanted to avoid those commissions in that process entirely. Or maybe sometimes like something like an injury at work, something there that would involve messing up their physicality, made that some type of cash offer would also be convenient for them in some other sense. Or maybe there's something wrong with the property, something needed a little bit of work done. So other than the realtor, does any of that sound relevant to you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess just the the let's get it done if we're gonna do it. If
Let's
we're
get
gonna,
it.
yeah, like the convenience part, the speed of it. That's what I
Okay.
like. That's
Okay.
why
And that's
didn't you
important to you
did you say
because,
did you say something else? Because I want to do this fast
okay. Do you mind if I ask why?
so I can buy the other house.
Got it. So making that other house, that's a real sort of like you got your eye set on that, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's just the realtor down there wanted me to put in an offer for it, and I said, well, I didn't want to put in an offer unless I knew somebody wanted to buy my house because I don't want to be paying for two houses.
Gotcha. So what I've seen around down there, that makes sense. And you can tell me if this doesn't make any sense to you in terms of cash buyers. So people skipping the realtor process, wanting that speed and convenience, buying as is, even though your house is in good condition. If there's anything found, there's none of that back and forth with the realtor of them annoying you, trying to figure out that work needs to be done. A lot of them we've seen nearby, they're going significantly lower. I know you mentioned 200. We're seeing it for cash to close in 30 days. the range is actually like 140 to 170.
Oh,
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that's our offer, but I'm just curious if someone were to offer you something in that range, what would you say?
you've been nice. I don't want to insult you so far. I'd be,
Well, it's not
I
our
don't,
offer. I
oh,
just know that's what other investors are paying.
I was gonna say I'd hang up on them.
Yeah, I thought so too. Most
Yeah,
of them they're scumbags, these investors. They're always lowballing.
yeah,
So
yeah. That's what I heard.
realistically, knowing that, what would you be looking to walk away with? If you count like the 30,000 for the move, roughly 50 to 100 or so for the house, and then some additional on top of that, what would you realistically look to walk away with?
I mean, listen. I'll be honest with you. The house is worth 300,000. I think. What you do with it is your business. I don't care. Doesn't make a difference to me. You give me 215,000 bucks, it's a deal. We'll get this thing done. But well, you do need to do a few things. You probably want to because there's a leak in the one bathroom, and then the garage door has like a window busted out of it, but that's nothing. And there's like just
Okay.
some paint chipping around the doorway. But like I said, you give me what I said, 220, give me 225,000 and we could do a deal right away.
I have to be honest with you, I'm a little confused here. I heard you mention that it's worth 300, good shape, needs a little work done. I feel like I'm missing something here because it feels a little bit all over the place, and I feel like I'm not asking good questions here. I don't really understand where you're coming from.
Well, no,
Am I
I
totally
was
off
just
base?
no, I understand. I was saying that if you gave me the 225, I'll sell it to you right now.
Okay. Okay. And if I can't, I don't know if I can yet. I'd have to confirm something. But if I'm less than that, is it even worth us continuing the conversation? Or are you so set on that 225 that it's not even worth having a conversation if it's less?
How much less?
I'm not sure yet. But before I go ask, I always like to ask because some people have this idea like I wouldn't accept a penny less, and sometimes I need to know that because the last thing I want to do is waste your time or insult you if I have to go check with someone to see if it's going to be less.
Sure. Uh, it depends how much less.
Okay, tell me more about that. What were you thinking?
You tell me. You're the one that wants to go
I don't know.
less. You tell me how much less.
I haven't asked yet, but I want to go. I want to go to bat for you and fight this and make sure I
Oh,
can get the absolute most possible.
well, I mean,
But
here,
it would help if I knew where you're coming from.
listen, Dan. I mean, Ian. Wait, is it Dan or it's Ian? I can't remember.
Either works.
Okay. So Ian or Dan,
Yep.
I'm gonna call you Dan. You sound like a Dan. Dan works good.
Sure.
Dan, listen,
Okay.
I want to sell the house because I'm
Okay.
tired. I hate my neighbors, and my ex-wife lives around here. I don't want to see her anymore. And now that she knows I got this money from my disability, she's hanging around. She's like looking for a handout, and I want to get this place sold, and I want to get
Got
down
it.
to South Carolina so I can buy that house and make sure nobody knows where I went.
Okay.
So I
If
need
we
you.
can make sure.
I need to help you by giving you a good deal, and you need to help me by buying it really quick.
Okay. So there's the potential to make sure that if we go through all this, like let's say we agree on price. I don't know how much less it would be. I would try and make sure it's not a ton. Let's just say it's a little bit less, but it's an amount that you agree with. If we're
Okay.
at that point,
Yeah.
and we can make sure that you're getting your money, you're getting a check for that amount of money in 30 days. You can move to the Carolinas. You're down there to be with family. You're not going to have your ex-wife bugging you. The amount of money you got from the disability, like you're out of there. No one even knows where to follow you. If we can get all that covered and you're done within 30 days and you're moved into that new house down by your family,
That'd be
is that
perfect.
something you feel like would be helpful? Okay.
Heck yeah, that'd be perfect, dude. No, wait. You guys have to put a sign in the front yard. Like, do the neighbors know that I sold it?
We don't have to put a sign. There's plenty of ways we can avoid that. I guess I could ask, is that a deal
Yeah.
breaker for you in terms of the sign?
Yeah. Because my ex-wife, her best friend lives next door, and I swear she's got me under surveillance all the time.
Okay. If we can make sure there's no sign, and in fact, we could prioritize helping you get with movers who would potentially even meet you at a different time than the normal time. If we
Yeah.
could do that, would there be any adjustment on price?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for you to tell me how much less.
I'm
I
not
mean,
sure. I just want to, I'm
I
curious
don't,
for you.
I'll be honest with you, Ian. I don't want to put it on like an auction. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason that I selected your ad because your ad looks
Yeah.
like my house. So if you're buying that house, then you'd want to buy this house. So
Sure.
that's why I'm looking at it like, look, I'm giving you 75,000 off. I mean, there's some wiggle room in there, but there's not much because I still need to be able to pay off the money for this place. I was going to pay off my my truck, and then I was going to use the money to move because I got, a 2,800 square foot house worth of furniture. So I need to obviously get that stuff somewhere. Um, obviously I don't need my snowblower anymore, all that shit. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with that. I don't want my neighbors being up my ass. And, I need to know what you're trying to pay so that way I can figure out my plan, Now I don't want to
Sure.
sit here and I don't want to sit here and tell you, hey, listen, come to me with your lowest offer and I'm going to jump for joy. But I'm just asking you to be respectful with me. Know where I'm trying to get to and what I'm trying to do. I figured I could leave some
Sure.
money on it so that way you could sell it and you still make some money and I make some money.
Sure. Yeah. So let me make sure. I mean, it's my fault for not asking you a question about the truck. Let me make sure I take stock of everything that you're actually realistically wanting to use this money for right afterwards,
Okay.
and I'll have that lined up so that when I go to them and I double check on this price, I can point to everything. I say he's not just like randomly throwing out a number for some reason. He's actually got reasons for everything. Let's work with him to make sure we can get him what he needs. And that way, when I have that, they'll understand this is not just arbitrary throwing a number out. It actually fits your criteria, and then they'll be more amenable to it.
Okay.
So how much
I
do you owe on the truck?
28,000.
Okay, so 28,000.
And then I had a
plus.
credit card I wanted to pay off.
Okay, how much is on the credit card?
I think it's like 7,000. There's some company called Hessel Media. I signed up with them and spent money with them.
They're pricey. I heard you. Okay,
I wanted to pay that
7,000.
off.
Understood. Yeah, I've heard good things though.
Yeah, nice people.
Okay,
Nice people.
okay, and then how much again?
Hang on. Yeah, let me look. I tried to see if I could find it. I got the mortgage statement paper here. It looks like I owe 34,200.
Okay.
And there's just over 3 years. There's 39 months left on it.
Okay. And then realistically, and this is, you can say no to this, but some of the factors of making sure you don't have to worry about your wife and you can move out of there quickly. Are you comfortable getting to that house down there sooner, even if it requires less down right away? Just to, rather than half down, looking at 20, 25%, just to make sure you're there. And then you can always refinance and add more to it. At least you're in the house, you're out of this environment now, we can get you situated, and then you can always readjust later. Are you open to that?
Why would I put less money? I mean, that seems like I'm not trying to be rude, but I don't care what you ate for dinner last night. You shouldn't care about what I do with my money.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out what exactly you need so that I can make sure it's covered.
Sure.
That's all.
Yeah, like I said, I want to put at least 100. I want to put at least half down on the house, so like 100 to 120. I don't understand what you mean. Like later, like what you're going to pay me some money now, and you're going to pay me some money later, or
No, I would just want to make sure we could prioritize getting in the house, and then if you want to pay down more of it later, you could always figure that out. But I don't know if that house will even be available tomorrow. That's part of the thing with houses on the market.
right.
So I just if 50% is more important than priority, then like that's totally fine. But moving into the house, if it's a little bit less money and you're comfortable with 25% down, at least you can be in the house.
Yeah, what I was
going to do.
Yeah, but that's taking on a whole lot more debt. And why would you want to pay
Sure.
why would I want to pay 8% in debt? But to be honest with you, my game plan was to take the money, pay off the truck, the credit card, the moving company, and then probably keep 25,000 in my bank account and use the rest of the money as the deposit for the house, the down payment.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly what that's going to come out to, but I know it should be enough to be sizable.
And what were you seeing? Have you looked at all at moving companies? We've got some we could recommend for you, but have you looked at all at moving companies in terms of cost?
Yeah, I looked at one. There's a local company around here called Warner. You've heard of them? They're over there in the corner of Stewartstown Road.
Okay, what were they quoting you for?
so they said if they packed everything, loaded loaded all the furniture and like my hutch and armoire and all the tables and chairs and whatnot. I said I'd probably leave the TV above the fireplace just because it's tied in with the mantle and stuff. But I think that was a while ago. I want to say they quoted me around 60. Does 6,200 sound fair?
Sure. Based on what you're hearing, I can see how that would be reasonable.
Are you sure? Because wait, would 16,200 or 6,200 make more sense? I don't remember.
Depends the moving company. Moving companies can charge whatever they want based on the labor
Oh.
they're using.
Oh, okay. Well, let's call it 7,000.
Okay. So what I've got here now, let's see here, because I've been doing a little bit of math. So I see, to make sure you have 100,000 for the home, we had the amount to cover the credit cards, which I think was like 28, and there was 7,000 on the credit card and 7,000 for the moving company. That has you at 176,000.
Hey, are you around here? Do you want to come over? I don't got nothing going on. If you want to come over and see the place, you can come over right now.
I'm busy right now. I would love to be able
Oh.
to send someone by and take some photos some other time. But when you hear that number 176, how do you react to that? If it covers those things.
Well, certainly not like a pig in shit. Wait, is that including the 25,000 for my checking account?
It's not. No, actually it's not. I didn't include that.
I need that because I wanted a little buffer because I'm gonna have to get new TVs and stuff.
Okay.
So what you're
so
you're saying 205,000.
I was 25 to 176. I have 201. If I could go and bat for 201,000 and that $201,200 to make sure we got that full amount left on the mortgage, what would you want to have happen next?
And what did I say? How was that? 225 or 235?
You had said 25 before.
Oh, all right. How about this? How about I'll give in some, I'll lower some and you raise some. So instead of 220, instead of the 201, you come up to 215 and I'll come down 10 and we'll do it at 215.
I wish it was that easy.
I can go up in price. I'm just joking.
Okay.
I'm just joking. I'm not going to go up in price. But so can you do it could you do the 225 or 215? And did you say
I'm not even sure I can do the 201. I'm not even sure I can do the 201 yet. I have to go check. But I want to go to bat for you. So if I could do $201,200 and you would get that check in 30 days and this would be done and over with and you could move the Carolinas, we make sure that you're not bothered by your ex-wife. No one even knows that you're moving out. We're discreet about it. We're like thieves in the night, to use that phrase I would imagine you would use based on the way you've been talking. Would that be something that if you make sure you have that in 30 days, that would be valuable for you?
Yeah, it'd definitely be valuable. I'll tell you what, why don't you do this? So you said you're gonna go to bat for me?
I would put you on hold for a second to double check. It's worth it, but that's my main question, to figure if that works.
You can't put me in your pocket so I hear what they say?
Oh, I wish I was allowed to. No, I got to take the earpiece out and go talk to him. I know.
Okay. Do you think you can push him? Do you think you can push him to 215 for me?
They told me closer to 170 is what they told me. So for me to say 250, I mean, you say 201, I'm not even sure they're going to say yes for that. I got to get a clue on that first.
All right. I'm not saying I'm going to say yes. Right.
Okay.
But I'm not saying no either. As long as it has a 2, a 0, and a 5.
I'm not sure what that means.
If they'll do 201, they'll push to 205. And that's my best. I can't go any lower than that.
Boy, if I'm like, this is really stretching for me, but if I can push to 205, like I'm not even sure I can now, to be clear, but assuming that they they surprise me and they say, hey, we
Yeah.
can make this work.
I hope they
I,
do.
I don't like, I don't even know what would you want to have happen next to
All
make
right.
sure we get the process
So,
started?
so here's what we'll do. See if you can get them to do the 205. And if they can't do the 205, we'll do the 201. No, we'll do the 201 if they can't do the 205. But you got to
I
fight
wish
to
I could
try
do
and get me
that.
the 205.
Okay. If I go and fight for the 205 and they say no, and I say, actually, he's willing to do 201, they would say, you've lied to us. Like, there's no way. And then they wouldn't even respect me. And I would lose their respect. I wouldn't be able to get this done.
Okay.
So that's why it's for me, I
So,
always need to make sure I know exactly where you're at and we're
so you
confident
only
there. And then I go and
you
give
only
them
get
that.
you only get one shot with it.
Yeah, that's just how our process works. Because most of the time we found for the people who are pulling back and forth, they're not really serious about moving forward. And so I wish I could change our process. This is how we do. This is how they do things.
I
Well, we'd
understand.
love to
I
buy the
mean,
home if you're going to let us.
this is just a really big decision. I mean, I wasn't expecting to make a decision on the spot. I mean,
Sure. I
is it
the only reason
normal? Is it normal that I could think about it?
I mean, you're welcome to, but I'm not going to go to bat for the 205, let alone the 201. That whole process there. If I don't know that you're set on it, they're going to say, why are you making us put aside money for that if this isn't going to be how you do? That's like, he's not serious. Because when I ask for it, they put aside money. So that's the whole point. Like, money's put aside to make sure we can close, because you only have so much money. I wish we could buy every home. We just can't. We're not Rockefellers. I know. So for me to make sure they put the money aside, I got to get confirmation there.
And what are you going to do with it? What are you going to, or you're not going to live here?
We're not going to live there. No.
Okay. Are you going to resell it?
Yeah. Likely. Well, I'm not sure. We've got a bunch of different options depending on what we do. It's not. It's sort of out of my pay grade. I wish I could. If I understood all the aspects of it, I'd be in charge. But unfortunately, I'm not. My job is just to have a conversation with you.
So let me just make sure I understand it, because I got to get off the phone because Jeopardy's starting soon.
Sure.
So what you're saying is you're willing to try and talk to him to see if you can do the 205 or the 201, but you don't want to talk to him unless I'm willing to say yes right here and right now.
Yeah. Because otherwise, if I get them to put the money aside and come back to you and you hadn't agreed to that, I wouldn't. And then I come back and go, oh, I'm sorry, I know you put that money aside, but now he wants to think about it, or now he says a different number or anything like that. I risk losing my job. They're just very precise to how we run our process. I wish it didn't work that way. It's just kind of how it works. So
Would
it's
they ever
it's
change
totally up to
their,
you.
would they change their mind? Like, what if
I've
I
yet to
say,
see it.
what if I say yes and they agree to it, and then a week from now they say, oh, well, the weather's not sunny today, I don't want to buy it anymore.
That's why we put it in writing
Okay.
to make sure that they wouldn't even get the option to do that. So the next steps here, if it makes sense, would be to make sure we get all this solidified so the money's put aside and it's set. And so you're picking up your check in 30 days.
Okay. Would
Let's
when do
stop the
I
role
need,
play here because we're also over time.
yeah.
I didn't allot that much time. So I wanted to open this up to the group now and see what
I was
people
getting
thought of
ready to
that.
say yes. I was getting ready to say, all right,
I
let's
know
do
you
the
were.
201.
I know you were. We're stopping it. So that was super fun. What were your thoughts, Esteban?
Great. I think Jesse was giving a little bit too much, though. I wish he was a little bit a little bit harder for sure. Been like, hey, my
Didn't feel easy to me.
this. What's that?
Didn't feel easy to me.
All right.
The only thing I was going to say is on that, like, I honestly tried to kind of represent how most sellers usually are. Like,
Yeah.
I don't get cursed out on the phone on a regular basis. Like, the people
Neither do I.
usually, I mean, sometimes they can be a little bit more abrasive, but that's just being on the phone with a lot of people. You just push it off and on to the next. But
Yeah.
95% of the conversations you have should be light and airy like that, where it's just, I mean, you can see our faces, but otherwise it would just be a guy. I'd be walking around my house talking on the phone. Like, it's just a
I
regular
agree.
conversation.
If he's like, absolutely not, no way, like, my alarm bells are going off that I'm wasting my time if he's giving me that much pushback.
100%.
Yeah.
There was a few things that that some people actually said that to say, but like, for example, oh, my neighbor sold for this, and that's why I need that. Or like, Oh, I have 3 other offers that came in kind of the same price I was asking. Just wanted
So we
to,
can talk through each one before we wrap up. So my
yeah.
neighbor sold. Gotcha. So they sold to a cash buyer.
I don't know. They sold to an investor, someone, or someone bought it. I don't know.
Gotcha. How did you see that it sold?
I just saw that they didn't have any more sign, and then all of a sudden
Oh, they had a sign.
yeah,
So they probably sold with a realtor.
yeah, potentially. Ah, you got me. Okay.
Okay. So there's that one. What was the other one? I had 3 other
So,
offers.
I have 3 other offers that came in at the price I was asking. I just want.
Fantastic.
Oh,
Why
great.
yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Why didn't you go with those?
Yeah, why haven't you
Go
accepted
with
one
those.
yet?
I'm sure they put that all in writing.
Yeah, I mean, like
The number
honestly,
they gave you,
I
they put
didn't
it in
feel,
writing.
I didn't really feel like it was they were like good people. They were just trying to get my price, and I didn't really go with anyone because they were just trying to lowball me the whole time. Like, and I don't really, I didn't really feel like it. And again, like I did get a contract, but it was just like a one pager. Didn't feel right about it. So
Okay. So because they had been feeling like they were pulling you along and giving you lower offers before eventually coming up, and then also just like a weird, sketchy looking contract, it just felt like these weren't good people to work with.
yeah, I mean, like I really wanted to see like what's out there and what else. Like what other company kind of seems pretty legit to do this because it's a big decision.
Sure. Would it surprise you to know that a lot of those companies that are doing that same process of stringing people along, they might be saying numbers and talking about numbers that are much higher than what they will actually end up buying the home for?
I guess I don't know, man. Like I'm honestly it's the first time that I'm trying to do this. I haven't been through this situation before, so
Sure, sure. So that's happening all the time. And then their process is sort of similar to what you experienced, except in reverse. Instead of lowballing you until coming up to your offer, they might start high and then they start saying, oh, well, now, based as you can see in that contract, we found this thing with the roof and we found this and we found that. And as a result, we have to pay less. And they string you along and it's 90 days later and nothing's happened. Would it surprise you to learn like that's unfortunately not uncommon?
yeah. I think
And
this will
so,
for the next time. I think that we could like whenever we do another objection challenges, we could come up with like more objections that people are getting in a weekly basis and things like that. Just going for it. I think that will make it. Now I do want to tell everyone that is in here. First of all, Jesse is part
yeah,
of.
yeah.
What's that?
Sorry, it's I'm still in the office after hours, so the one was coming to clean. So
Oh yeah,
all
yeah.
good.
I thought you were ready to battle me again.
No, no. I was just nodding at the woman cleaning.
So Jesse is an internal client and coach that helps everyone in a weekly basis. He's also gets seller leads from online marketing. And Ian, he works together, partner up sales disruptors, and he has a podcast called closemoresales.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, close more
Yep.
sales. There's
You got
Look it up
you
on
guys on
YouTube.
YouTube?
yeah,
Yep.
I think so yeah. So I'll
It's
actually
brand new, so it's hard to find because it doesn't
It's
have a ton of followers yet.
yeah.
okay. I
And
keep coming up with something from Victor Antonio, and I was like, I don't think this is you.
I
I
no,
just
that's
posted the
that's
link.
not me.
I just posted the link, guys, for the podcast. It's closemoresales.com. And also it's unbelievable. Like he currently coaches people almost every day, like maybe at least 3 times a week for $97 a month. It's kind of crazy, to be honest. Kind of crazy. And then like I don't know if you guys have ever uh, heard of the podcast Real Estate Disruptors, Steve Trank. Like they use that methodology to teach everyone. So as you guys saw, like it's amazing, amazing questions that he was asking, and the way that he played psychologist. It's all of that, right? So there you go. Close more sales at YouTube as well. Oh, there you go. And subscribe to that channel. But for next time, guys, let's bring a list of objections and let's bring someone in. Like I feel like cash buyers in Long Island, he wanted to be a top seller. Like now it doesn't mean that a top seller is not going to sell. They're just tough people, because it might be from someone from the, East Coast, New York or something. They're not the easiest people to deal with. I guess that's why you were having that experience, and you were saying, "Oh, Jesse is being way too nice," right? Or like an immigrant seller that there's different type of immigrant sellers that they're just not gonna give it up, at all. So yeah,
I, s- I sold life insurance to union workers in New York City. Like I know how tough it can be. It's if you know what you're doing and you've got things set up right, like it ends up being not dissimilar to that. At the start of a cold call without having someone having raised their hand, depending on how interested the lead is, that's probably too much, right? Like you're going to get more pushback there, depending on if you interrupted their day. But then, like, I wouldn't waste my time. I wouldn't go into those deep processes and questions right there. I would set a different time to do that so I could be more amenable.
yeah, that's huge. So guys, again, let's bring up next time objections that I'm sure you guys are getting the day-to-day and the week with week. And I also want to do something here for this mini mastermind. I want to do like a few hot seats with all of you guys. So I'm gonna post it in the group, in the school community, but we potentially are gonna grab one business and just like dissect it and like literally like tell them like, hey, look, tell me what's your problem, tell me what's going on, and then we're just gonna dive into the business and break it down here in this mastermind. But everyone, I hope you guys actually enjoyed this. I think this was really, really fun. Again, I'm gonna leave here the two links for Ian, who is at Sales Disruptors. Yeah,
Meet
absolutely.
you
Like
also, Ian. It was nice
Alex,
to meet you.
You too
Alex,
as well, Jesse. It's a pleasure.
Thanks
Alex,
for being a gladiator with me.
That was fun. Yeah, it was fun.
Alex, absolutely. You can post it on IG for people to learn more about this. And again, like actually, Alex, I think she's in Canada. We're being watched all over Canada and the US, especially Canadians. We need the sales trainings because we're too nice. You know what I mean? Like we don't push back. Okay. And
You
we
don't
definitely
say.
yeah. Yes. So
But did I sound pushy?
no, you just ask really good questions. Yeah.
It's not, if you do it right, it doesn't seem, you don't feel pushy and they don't feel pushed.
Ian Socrates Ross. That's what I'm gonna call you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, guys, at the end of the day, selling isn't what you do to someone, it's what you can do for someone. So if you're doing an effective job through the selling process, you're actually helping them achieve their goal. So you're really not selling anything, you're providing a service that's of great value.
That's right. So can't wait for Jesse's call tomorrow and see how that's gonna what's gonna happen there at 1 p.m. for Hustle Media. And again, I'm gonna have Ian once again in another objection challenge at some point whenever we do it again. This was really fun, guys. Ian's IG is Vivid Selling. And Jesse, what's your IG so people can actually follow you?
I don't know, to be honest with you, and I don't have my phone on me. I will find out. I think it's Jesse V Sales Pro.
All right.
I don't know.
I'm gonna get you into social media, dude.
I know.
All right, everyone. This was really fun. And let's see you guys another time. All right.
Awesome. Have a good one.
Bye bye.
Take care.